is 2 Corinthians 5, and this is the write-up that I've done on the board, and it says here, "For we know if our earthly tent is destroyed, we have a building from God. This building from God is not made by hands, it's eternal, and it's in the heavens." And then we have a statement, "For indeed we groan." So we have the "we know," and then we have the "we groan." Now this groaning consists of longing to be clothed with our dwelling from heaven. So this dwelling from heaven is possibly the same building from God that we had in the previous verse. And we also have another clause here, "assuming that we will not be found naked, having put it on." This "it" is whatever we would be clothed with that we're longing for, and this would be our dwelling from heaven. So the interesting thing here is "we will not be found naked," which is an interesting sentence. The only other thing I could connect this with the rest of the canon would be Genesis 3, where Adam and Eve are unclothed, they're naked in the garden, and although this seemed to be all right beforehand, after the fall, after they disobeyed God, they realized that they were naked, and with that came shame. So I guess this represents an old order of things. But then also, even in that story, we see a new order of things. We see that Adam and Eve, in spite of the fall, God is merciful to them, and they are clothed by Him with animal skins, I assume. I think that's how the story goes. So once they were in Eden, now they're being led east of Eden, but at least this clothing that they have now was expressly given by God. So it's the difference between the nakedness now, the being unclothed, and being clothed by God. Also, what's interesting is the verb that's used for "we will not be found naked, having put it on." The "put on," that verb, is also a way that you could translate it is "in addition to." So whatever dwelling that we have now, this earthly tent that we live in now, it seems that this building from God is something that's in addition, as if it's weird because if we are destroyed, if the tent is destroyed, it's almost as if there'd be nothing there. But it seems to be reading from this as if something exists still, even if the earthly tent is destroyed. Something has to put on the dwelling from heaven. So could that be our soul? Maybe. And then for the next verse we have, "For indeed we are in this tent, we groan." So we have the "we groan" here, and then we also have the "we groan" beforehand, and also with the "for indeed" as well. So we see some repetition in this passage. We groan. Now this groan, the first one was longing to be clothed with our dwelling from heaven, and then this one is being burdened. And why is this groaning happening? Why is this burdening happening? It's because we do not want to be unclothed. So the unclothedness would, I assume, connect with us being naked. So is the unclothed us, our earthly tent, being destroyed, or is our unclothedness the present situation that we have? Even though we're in an earthly tent, even though we're in this current house, are we essentially unclothed? Um, but we know we do not want to be unclothed because um, that's why we're burdened. We don't want to be unclothed. Does this unclothing mean that we die, or does it mean we're just tired of our present situation? The clothing that we want to wear, we don't have it yet. So rather, we want to be clothed. Why do we want to be clothed? Well, so what is mortal may be swallowed up by life. And this is interesting too, I think, from the verb putting on, in addition to, and even swallowed up by life. It seems as if the latter is better than the former. Not necessarily that the former was totally bad. How should I articulate this? Like I said before, if the earthly tent is destroyed, there's still something that's being put on in addition to, as if something was left, not of the earthly tent, but something of ourselves was left that we were able to put on, this dwelling from heaven. And so what is immortal may be swallowed up by life. If you think of something being swallowed up, it's almost as if, like regular digestion, if you eat food, not necessarily that food is totally gone, it just goes through a process of being destroyed, I guess, in our mouth and through our system, but it still comes out. I mean, not good, obviously, but more of a process than ceasing and starting again, I guess, with those words to me. So in light of that, now God, two things about Him in this verse. He prepared us for this purpose. So what is this purpose? Is the purpose what is mortal may be swallowed up by life? The point of us being, if our earthly tent is destroyed, we know we have a building from God. He prepared us ahead of time for this purpose, so that when we die, we have an eternal building from Him. And then also He gave us the Spirit as a deposit. And this word in the Greek is interesting because it's like a security deposit. It's something that's given for security as a down payment. So that's interesting because we already have the building, house, dwelling sort of motif going on throughout this verse. So I just think that the deposit, like a housing deposit, is an interesting kind of phrase or Greek word to use in relation to that. So in light of all of this, so therefore, we walk by faith. So because of all this, because of what we know, and all this groaning and all the different things here, knowing now that this is what God's purpose is, and He's given us His Spirit, in light of all that, we walk by faith. And how does someone walk by faith? What is the characteristics of someone that walks by faith? And it's always being of good courage, and knowing that while we are at home, while we're in this current body, we are absent from Christ. We are of good courage, but we prefer the reverse. We prefer that we be at home with Christ and absent from the body that we know. So that's a way that I guess that is how you walk by faith. You are always of good courage. You know in reality, you're still in the body, which means you're absent from Christ. it says Lord in the Greek, but I think it's okay to read Christ in there. And then also, we are of good courage. We prefer the reverse. We prefer to be, we live as if we're looking forward to being present with Christ. And I guess another allusion to that in Scripture could be where Christ talks about, if you hate your life, you'll find it, or if you hold on to your life, you'll lose it. And then we have a final therefore, and it says we have. So we've gone through, we know, we've grown. We could say we will not be found naked. But if we continue with we've grown, and then we walk. We are of good courage, and now we have. Therefore, we have is our goal. This is our ambition. This is the kind of life that we live. These are the characteristics that we have, and this is our ultimate goal. Whether we are at home, so whether we're here in the body, where we currently are, either unclothed or naked, depending on however you want to read that, or absent with Him, which means the earthly tent is destroyed, and we're realizing being within the building from God to be pleasing to Him. And that is all.